Good Monday morning. We're on ITM Genesis Elite again here on the Euro USD, looking at a continuation signal bounce off of the highest probability long reversal zone with an overall trend of sideways. So what we're going to do is, in sideways environments, we don't know how much further on the target will go. So what we'll do is, since we also have a touch-based opportunity available in the left-hand panel, we will go for a no-touch option here to the downside, investing half our intended equity. So half of this will go into the no-touch trade and half into a high trade towards the long side, since we don't know of what target to hit. That's why we're not taking a one touch. A high trade will essentially allow us to get above the existing entry point. Both trades will be taken for roughly 25 minutes here to the 11:45 expiry. And this serves as a comfortable hedge sort of situation where the overwhelming majority of consensus is towards the long side. But because the overall trend is sideways, one of these trades may or may not make it. In such environments, it's best to go with a safe strategy like this one. All right, back again, roughly 23 seconds remaining in both these trades that are due to expire here at 11:45. This is the first trade, the high trade that was taken on the euro dollar here to go above the entry point, which it has now, and the no-touch trade here that was taken with the target below current price when it was taken, that has stayed comfortably above that entry point. These trades were taken in such fashion because at the time, the overall trend was sideways, in which case you cannot predict how far along that direction your trade will go. This sort of is a hedge setup, but with a high degree of confidence in one direction that we took. In this case, both trades have expired in the money for 4,625 and 4,425 gross returns, each translating to, I believe, roughly 2,125 and just under 2,000, 1,925 as net returns on those trades respectively. So this was an example of how to use Genesis Elite in a sideways environment where you have a strong belief based on Genesis Elite telling us that we're looking at a long trade here with a continuation signal off of a high probability long reversal zone. We also had smart money there telling us that the bears had not overpowered the bulls yet. So all strong indicators presented inside Genesis Elite, leading indications that we are looking at a long side move. But because the overall trend was sideways, we took half our intended equity, which was 5,000 for this setup. Half of it went into a no-touch trade and half into a high trade, both of which ended up expiring in the money to our favor. Thank you. Good afternoon. We're on gold, XAU, USD using ITM Genesis Elite. Very strong bullish push here towards the highest probability short reversal zone. Smart money indicates that we are looking at majority bulls coming into the picture. Therefore, we are well positioned for a potential breach of that zone, indicating a high trade here to the long side. We're going to invest 5,000 into this trade. Let me just get rid of this comma here that's going to inevitably cause problems in the price, and execute this trade for a 30-minute, roughly 32-minute expiry here on gold to the long side for an 80% payout. Just going to zoom in on the chart here, make sure it's visible. There we are. So we're into the trade. We'll come back to you just before or at expiry. The premise behind the trade is very simple. We've seen a bullish spike that's overpowered bears, and we're looking at a long move. All right, back again, roughly 19 seconds remaining on this trade here. As you can see, that spike has continued, broken through the highest probability short reversal zone, as was predicted in advance by Genesis Elite. And we're now just a few seconds away here from expiry. $4,000 net return on this trade should it expire in the money, which it has now. We have expired for a 9,000 gross return, 4,000 net return on this trade. Premise being very simple. We saw smart money indicate that the bulls were back in control. We saw price test the short reversal zone and has now breached it. Since we're now at an optimal entry point for a breached zone, this indicates that we have further long momentum pending. Also look at smart money indicating that the bulls are firmly in control. So we'll go for another nice entry point here on gold to the long side for another $5,000 investment. Please do choose your own investment amounts. Again, the expiry time here is 30 minutes from entry. At 13:30 GMT, it is currently 1300. Just going to zoom in on the chart here to show you where that trade is going. The trade is now in, and we'll come back to you just before or at expiry. All right, back again, roughly 24 seconds remaining on this breach trade here. As you can see, price has continued in that long direction, come back down in a retracement, bounced off of the new high probability long reversal zone after the breach. Look at smart money indicating bulls being firmly in control there, and is now due to expire here in the next 6 to 7 seconds in the money, obviously, as was predicted in advance by Genesis Elite. We have now expired. The net return on this trade is also $4,000. Very interesting for you to note that these moves came one after the other, the second move being confirmed by the first move. The first move was an intended breach. The second move was a successful breach, both trades pointing to the long side. These are some of the highest probability scenarios you can encounter with ITM Genesis Elite, provided you wait patiently for them. They happen multiple times a day. All that's required of you is to wait patiently for that breach move to happen. And if you keep taking high probability opportunities like this, naturally your chances of growing your equity nicely are much, much higher. Thank you. Good afternoon and a very Merry Christmas to you. We're on the US dollar, Japanese yen, looking at one breach opportunity that's shown up here. Let me just quickly take the trade and we'll go back to the charts to explain the reason behind the trade. It's going to be 15 minutes long, so it's currently 15:56. We'll shoot for 16:10, just under 15 minutes. Expiry here at 16:10 with an investment of 5,000 for a roughly 70% return on this US dollar Japanese yen high trade taken off of a breach setup. Let's go back to the chart here on ITM Genesis Elite. Notice that price has broken through the highest probability short reversal zone, and smart money is indicating that bulls are back, so stay tuned. All right, back again, roughly 22 seconds remaining. Pretty straightforward trade here. Breach setup that was indicated by ITM Genesis Elite. Price having broken through the highest probability short reversal zone at the time, that, as you can see, has now been revised into a bullish reversal zone, with ITM Smart Money still very much considering the bulls to be the stronger of the two versus bears. Price is now due to expire in the money here on this trade, and we have now expired for an $8,500 gross return on this trade, with a net $3,500 return that's been booked and settled in the account. These sorts of trades require patience, but are some of the highest probability setups you can get. If you simply wait for breach setups all day long, provided you have the time to do so, because they have such high odds of success associated with them, they are some of the most high probability scenarios you can come across. Trading these consistently enough ensures that you have long-term chances of securing good equity rises. If you trade simply on the shorter 60-second, 2-minute time frame sort of asset types, things get very tricky very fast. Whereas if you wait patiently for these high probability setups, such as breaches, such as outside boundary setups, you have very much higher odds of success. This was a very simple trade taken off of the US dollar Japanese yen with a freshly breached short reversal zone that turned into a long reversal zone, with price catapulting to the north side as was projected in advance by Genesis Elite. Thank you very much and have a very lovely Christmas. Good afternoon. Merry Christmas again, everyone. We're on the Euro USD on ITM Genesis Elite. Fresh breach here on the 26th of December. We have very low volatility, but this breach is a high probability event, basically saying that the short reversal zone will be breached to the long side. High probability trades will be long from here on. Therefore, we're going to choose a 15-minute, just under 15-minute expiry, and go for this high trade here with a $5,000 investment. Please feel free to choose your own investment amount. Now into the trade, let me just zoom in on the chart, and here we are. So we've entered on the premise of a broken short reversal zone. We'll come back to you just before expiry. All right, back again, roughly 25 seconds remaining here. As you can see, even on low volatility, low liquidity days, these breach events are some of the highest probability scenarios you come across in ITM Genesis Elite. It's gone up beautifully as was advertised. When you see a breach, it's a very high probability reversal towards the long side in a short reversal zone's case, and vice versa when it's a long reversal zone. We're now just a couple of seconds away from expiry here and have expired comfortably now in the money on this breach trade taken using ITM Genesis Elite, with ITM Smart Money also at the time confirming that we have bulls coming back into control and overpowering bears. This is now expired for a $4,000 net return. Notice the bulls there on ITM Smart Money, indicated by ITM Smart Money as having come back into control, further powering the breach to the long side. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. We're on the GBP USD today using ITM Genesis Elite. Here's a stall signal immediately in the vicinity of a low strength boundary. Stall signals, as you know, indicate temporary retracement followed by continuation. Since we are quite short here, we're going to continue going short. The retracement, has now taken place, and we will go for a 15-minute trade. The closest expiry time that we get here is 17:25, which is just over 15 minutes at the present time. So we'll go for a low trade here in the direction of the persistent trend that is short for a $5,000 investment, seeking an 80% return on this trade. We're now into the trade. Chart has been zoomed to show us a bit more clearly what's going on, and the stall signal here is indicating further continuation to the short side. All right, back again, roughly 22 seconds remaining here. As you can see, that short side continuation went on very nicely in the form of a temporary breakout right off of that low strength boundary there. Stall signal indicating short-term retracement. As you can see there, that choppy sideways momentum, followed by a further short side continuation as was predicted in advance successfully by Genesis Elite. This, along with breach trading, are some of the highest probability scenarios you can come across with Genesis Elite. Stall signals and breach trading being the highest probability scenarios that allow for comfortable, safe trading, allowing for safe equity growth over time. Here we have a stall signal that indicated where the market was going. We also had the left-hand panel indicating already that the overall trend is bearish. We had ITM Smart Money at the bottom there indicating that the bears were coming back into control, with the most recent spike downwards indicating that bears were in control for the time being. All those things are leading indicators pointing in one direction for this trade. That was short. Thank you. Good afternoon. We're on the Euro USD with ITM Genesis Elite. Now, sometimes breaches are missed. These aggressive breaches can happen, and they can happen very quickly. What to do in those situations? Enter on a level pullback. What you do there is you look at the medium strength there is posing support. We have ITM Smart Money indicating that we have still a fewer number of bears versus bulls. So we're in a nice position for a pullback off of a key level, the medium strength level. So we'll go for a high trade here, 15 minutes long again for trading the breach. 5,000 invested. Please do choose your own investment amounts per your own equity and risk management plan. Just going to zoom in on the chart here to show you a clearer view. We're now into the trade. We'll come back to you at 1400 or just before to show you the results. All right, back again, roughly 23 seconds remaining. As you can see, that level held very nicely. Price continued to bounce off of it for a few minutes before eventually shooting up to the long side, as was projected in advance by Genesis Elite and Smart Money combined. Smart Money there was indicating fewer bears than bulls. We had a nice level there, medium strength, that has now become the highest strength level after this expands to the long side, and we're now second away and have expired in the money here at 1400 with a long trade or high trade on this Euro USD pair over a 15-minute time frame. Very simple scenario here that was exhibited. We saw a very aggressive breach. The breach was too quick to get in on a trade. We then had to wait to see if we had more opportunities available. Price reached the analysis boundary, came back and settled at the medium strength level, where ITM Genesis Elite and Smart Money were both indicating good support, since Smart Money indicated there were fewer bears than bulls, and Genesis Elite showed us the medium strength level was holding very nicely, thereby allowing us to get into a pullback trade, getting into the breach again, safer than we would have had we gone in at that aggressive breach in the first place. Thank you. Good afternoon. We're on the Euro USD here on New Year's Eve using ITM Genesis Elite. We have here a sideways situation. Smart Money indicates bears are firmly in control, and there's still some short side space left. So we're going to go for a shorter trade on the 5-minute time frame this time on the Euro USD here for a low trade, $5,000 invested. Please feel free to choose your own investment amount. Once we're into the trade, we'll come back to you just before or at expiry. And given what charts say at that time, if there are more opportunities of this sort available at the time, we will take them. All right, back again, roughly 22 seconds remaining on this 5-minute side trade. As you can see, it's gone into the money, escalate back, retraced to entry point, found loads of resistance there, and gone back into that money zone. Again, we're now looking to expire here shortly in just under 10 seconds on this 5-minute trade on the Euro USD. The premise here was really simple. We were looking at sideways momentum. We were trapped in a range, and all we wanted to ascertain was which way is more likely given the state of affairs we are faced with on the chart. In that case, we had bears in control according to smart money, and a bit of that short side range was left. Simple scenario to get into a trade position. This is a slightly more advanced strategy using shorter time frames, such as the 5 minute, as we did in this case. And once this has expired, which it has now for a $3,250 net return, let's go back to the chart and see if we have some movement left. We have about 35% of that range to the short side left, still with bears still in control. So we can sneak in another low trade here on the 5 minute time frame, again targeting the rest of that move down to the lower boundary, the lower analysis boundary. Once we're into the trade, once again, I'm going to zoom in on the chart here to show you a better view, and we'll come back to you just before or at expiry. All right, back again, roughly 12 seconds remaining this time. The trade has done exactly what it did in the first instance. We saw it go into the money, retrace to the entry point, find resistance over there, and get back into the money to complete that short side move. We have now expired, and the platform's just calculating expiry, which has netted us 3,250 again on this trade. Going back to the chart, we see that the price is fairly close to the lower analysis boundary now. Therefore, it is not the best position to be taking a 5 minute trade of this nature anymore, because the strategy allows for 50 to 35% of that space left to be eligible for a 5 minute or any short term, even a 10 minute trade. But since we've now exhausted that space, we now have very little space left for price to eventually go to the analysis boundary, thereby making any further trading in this range not advisable at this stage. Thank you.